Welcome to Jewish Cinémathèque, where we meet some of the important faces involved with films that tackle aspects of the Jewish experience. Today I am joined by filmmaker Yaron Zilberman, the co-writer and director of Incitement, winner of the Ophir Award, Israel's Academy Award for Best Motion Picture. The film focuses on Yigal Amir, the individual who assassinated Prime Minister Yitzchak Rabin.
אתה יותר יפה, יותר חכם מכולם, ואתה יודע שבלעדיך גלי לא היו מצליחים לארגן שם שום דבר. בשבילם אתה הכושי, שמארגן להם את כל השבתות וכל ההפגנות. אני מת הסנטר למעלה. תהיה גאה. אתה נועדת לגדולות. יגאל, גאולה. שלמה. אתה תהיה יותר גדול מכולם, אתה תראה. הכל נקבע מלמעלה. הכל משמיים לטובה עיוני.
בדם, בעץ, את רבין לגרש! בדם, בעץ, את רבין לגרש! בדם, בעץ, את רבין לגרש! בדם, בעץ, את רבין לגרש!
Yaron, welcome to Jewish Cinémathèque.
Thank you, Eric, for inviting me.
So, in looking at your background, you're an Israeli guy who, came to this country, studied at MIT.
Yes.
Physics.
Yeah.
So what happened? It's been,
Yeah, I think all my life, so to speak, I was looking for my calling. And so I tried many things, and I moved from different worlds until I found the one thing that, will sort of satisfy me professionally, hopefully for the rest of my life.
No background in filmmaking, no film school.
No.
You just learned on the job.
On the job. I really, really enjoyed it, and I felt that I can utilize sort of all aspects of my personality, which is great love for art, because I love art and I'm immersed into art from my early childhood. So that was like natural for me. And then, knowing other worlds, how to sort of entrepreneurship type of thing, because I also established a couple of, in Israel, with a friend, we built 2 buildings in Tel Aviv.
So all of these talents coming together.
So from, one project to another, until a friend of mine asked me to help him on a movie he was working on. I joined him just as a, an experience, and boom, I realized that's, that could be something I'll do for the rest of my life. And then I was introduced through that project. It was about the greatest soccer players of all time. So then I met the women swimmers, and they had such great stories about, early childhood and early femininity in Vienna, relationship with their parents, and the whole Nazi experience later on, that I was drawn into their story, and it became a story about the swimmers.
So you met these women, and you just had an idea, you just wanted to record it for a possible film, or from the beginning you knew Watermarks was going to be your first film?
As I said, I met the women swimmers, and then I knew, okay, that's it. And then I went to a friend, and I told him about the story, and he said, wow, he really liked it. He called a friend of his who is a producer in Paris, documentary producer. He said, wow, I love this story, come over. We went to Paris, we pitched the project, and he said, let's just make this movie. So as soon as I finished Watermarks, you go through this festival journey, and I had to decide what my next movie would be. And I had two ideas, and I wanted to make a fiction film, my next. I love the documentary, and I love documentaries. But I thought, instead of me forcing it, looking for a documentary story, I'll come up with a story of my own. And then I had 2. One of them was about Rabin's assassination, which we'll talk about later. And the second one was about a string quartet. Take it like a family story. I wanted to deal with my own sort of family history and to place it into a different context. And the context was classical music. String quartet, which I really, really like. The music, I've been following this music since my teens. And I wanted to combine that love and that knowledge with that thing I wanted to talk about. So that was some kind of combination. So I had these 2 projects. So that was the combination. And then I spoke to a friend of mine, and that friend convinced me it was too early to do the film about Rabin's assassination. He said, you know, it was, again, 2005 when it started to come out, and he said, you know, 10 years is not enough distance from the assassination, and you gotta wait. And the reason is, first, there's usually new information might come, and then you don't want to make a movie and then discover new information, important information. And secondly, the Israeli public was not ready. It was too raw. You know, the wound was open. And he convinced me, and I put it on the shelf as something one day I will make, but not then. And I turned into the string quartet. You know.
So let's jump now to Incitement, because you were, what, in your late 20s when Rabin was assassinated. It must have, you know, really had a profound effect on you.
Yes.
And clearly you wanted to do something about it. And there had been a few films made about the assassination, you know, both documentary and narratives. Successful or not successful, whatever.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, first of all, I'll start with the why. You know, I'm not going to start with the why. I'm just going to say that at the time when we worked on the project, there were no projects about assassination. During our work, one documentary came about and one fiction film. That fiction is not really fiction. Also, it's a docudrama.
Right.
So, and I saw it. And, you know, if it were sort of covering the story that we wanted to tell, I would probably stop at that point. But it wasn't. It was like completely different approach.
Right.
Very docudrama type of thing. Nothing to do with, you know, the intensity that that we were looking for in terms of sort of something that will shake the core of making it and watching it, which was the response to the assassination. So that was it. The second thing is a documentary that was made in association with the wife of Yigal Amir. So it was very sort of almost pro Yigal Amir type of thing, you know, where it's at the end it really calls for his release in a cinematic direction. So that was like for me a no-no. So neither one of them were a reason for us not to pursue the movie, which is, you know, what we thought, that's the way we thought is the right way to approach it.
But the approach you took was to focus on the assassin.
Exactly.
I mean, just the idea.
Yeah.
And it's even interesting, the difference in title. Yamim Noraim is the release title in Israel.
Yes.
Terrible, horrendous days.
Yes, yes.
But Incitement tells a different story.
It's
so
true.
I'd love to hear your...
So Yamim Noraim has a double meaning. One is what you said, which is horrible days, which it were horrible days and they've accumulated, I mean, leading to a horrific event in the history of Israel and the Jewish people. But also Yamim Noraim is a religious term that it's the 10 days from Rosh Hashanah
the
to
high
Yom
holiday
Kippur,
period.
the high holiday period.
Yep.
Right, the literal translation in religious is high holidays in America. So it's that 10 days. And what signifies these 10 days? It's 10 days of atonement, of asking for forgiveness, of meditation on what did I do wrong, and, you know, soul searching. And I thought that's the most appropriate. So it's a soul searching within the Jewish world, within the context of also the rabbis, the rabbinical world, of what went wrong and why it happened. So that double meaning was very important for me. In English, there is no double meaning. Horrible days is horrible days, and high holidays is high holidays. So I had to choose a new one in English. And when I went to look for what would be that sort of theme that I want to talk about, Incitement came as the biggest one, as the leading
Why focus? I mean, I'm thinking of historically terrible assassinations.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a film made about Lee Harvey Oswald, at least a narrative.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever one made about John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
You know, these horrible individuals. You decided to take it on from the perspective of the assassin.
Yes.
Lama, why?
Why? Because, first of all, I want to say that I co-wrote the script with Ron Leshem, who is a major, major force. So we sat down together and spoke about the various ways to tell the story. And during that conversation, it was obvious to us that this is the best way to tell the story. And the reason being that only Yigal Amir, which is the assassin, can lead us, we can see through his journey what acted upon him to get to the moment where he shoots the prime minister. We didn't want to make another movie again about Rabin, which is also very important, very, very important, but we wanted to, because it's like a one-time thing. You make this movie and you know, it should cover this, this assassination, this horrific event. We wanted him to lead us through what made him do it, what influenced him, and by that gaining as much insight as possible into that event.
You know, the film begins showing that he's this brilliant law student. I mean, are we supposed to feel some connection with him, you know, at the beginning? Do we feel sympathy for the guy? Is he just caught up in the events of the day and his friends? I mean, what was your intention?
Well, first of all, we shouldn't feel sympathy for him, and the movie doesn't start in a way that one should feel sympathy. He's working in a grave. I mean, I don't want to spoil the movie.
No.
Remember, it opens next Thursday. January 30th.
And the film opened, it had its premiere at the Toronto Film Festival.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Jewish Film Festival in New York,
that's true.
An amazing festival, has focused on it. And you even did master class there.
That's true.
So, you know, it's out there.
Yeah.
We don't want to tell too much.
So I don't want to spoil it exactly, but I would say that it opens in a graveyard, him, you know, working, cleaning graves, and the way it's being shot, there's nothing there that has to do with sympathy. And he's watching Rabin's grand vision of peace, which no matter how you feel about it retroactively or retrospectively, it's a beautiful vision for peace, beautiful no matter what. So, and he's like going against it right there already. There's no sympathy. He's driving his car, we see him from the back, and then it leads into a protest. And this protest, he screams and shouts against Arabs and, you know, death to this and death to that and traitors and whatever. I don't think the context is sympathy, not at all. I think the movie, I just want to say that for me always, the movie is about Rabin's assassination. That's what the story is. If you want to know what happened there, if you want to understand this assassination and what brought this assassination, led that assassination, I want this to be that movie, like a go-to movie about that, a meditation about that. It's told through the eyes of the assassin. That's true. Again, for a reason. I think this is the most important way to look into that assassination, in my view. That, again, insight, the most amount of insight you can gain and that you can learn is looking at it that way. But the movie is about the assassination. It's about Rabin's assassination. It's not about Yigal Amir. I'm not showing anything about Yigal Amir in the movie that is not related to the assassination, that is not led to the assassination. Even the relationship with the girls, a relationship that could have led to marriage, also, if you see, step by step is related. It's like the
and that beautiful family that he was part of, which is, you know, you look at this wonderful family. How did this happen? It's not as if he.
So
awful.
The father was great, but the mother there were issues there of raising his.
You have to watch the movie.
Grandeur, but I'm not going to say more than that.
You have to see them. How did you mix fact and fiction when you have this real story? I mean, you have a background as a physicist, as a documentarian. You bring in archival footage beautifully in this film.
Thank you.
So how do you deal with that tension between fact and fiction?
Well, the first thing is that, you know, this is it's a very touchy subject. It's a tough subject matter because it's a subject matter that affects every Israeli in terms of, you know, the current political situation, and also in terms of there's a position, you know, depending where you are on the political map, everybody has a position towards what really happened there. That's why it was very important for me and for my co-writer, for Ron Leshem, to be very sort of, that we follow facts, that we do, you know, the research, like years and years of research, reading everything, meeting with every person we could, including talking to the family, which we can talk about, and talking to Yigal Amir in jail as well.
No.
Yes. So the idea was, before we speak about that, to accumulate as much information and knowledge so that we present it in a way that you would not discard it, that there's an agenda necessarily, that the agenda drives it, but rather let's watch what happened. And from that, you can make up your conclusion. I have my conclusion, you can make your conclusion. But what's very important for me, the moment we will play with it too much, then, and you distort, what happened, then I think the movie will lose its credibility. And in this particular case, because it's such an important event in Israel history and for the Jewish people, that you can't mess with that. That's how I felt about it, and that's why I want to keep it. At the same time, it's a movie. It has to follow a movie structure. It has to be, dramatic. It has to have, strong characters and all the things that make up for a movie, like a good movie, a worthwhile experience. So how do you do that? That's a very delicate work that takes years to do. It's like a minefield that you go through.
I can only imagine.
That's what it is. And I decided to bring archival footage into the story as for two reasons. One, as evidence. It's just evidence. If you see in the movie certain events and you say, oh, no, that could not have happened. These people didn't say that. No way that would happen. Boom, you get the archive, you watch it. This is real. And then step by step. So I'm always backing it, again, in a dramatic way, in an artistic way, in a cinematic way, that we cannot discard that because it's not a lecture and it's not a paper, it's a movie. However, I bring that document to show, and I think that's quite powerful.
And it is quite powerful. Let's take a break now and take a look at a clip from this incredible film, Incitement.
טוב, אז רגע, יש לנו חייל, סיירת, אנחנו צריכים עוד שניים. אוקיי.
אני נגד.
נגד מה?
נגד הציירת.
למה?
זאת חווה שלכם.
מה, אתה מדבר שטויות? מה הקשר?
זאת נזר הבריאה.
זה תרגיל לבחור. רגע, לא הבנתי, מה הבעיה?
מה הבעיה? הבחורה הזאת לבושה כמו דיסקוטק.
סליחה, תלבש מה שהיא רוצה, בירקית לפחות כמוך.
כל החיים שלה זה בילויים, חומרנות והנאות גוף.
טוב, חברים, הוא סתם מבזבז לנו את הזמן. יש לנו עוד שתיים לבחור. מי בעד הציירת שירים את היד?
צריכים לבחור פה אחד.
אתה רוצה להיות שליח של הסוכנות או לא?
יאללה, תצביע.
נו מה?
תעכב אותנו.
אתם או פועלים או מרגש או מיצר, כמו חיות
נו
אתם.
באמת, אי אפשר ככה.
השכל תמיד צריך לבחור.
תקשיבי, דבר חיובי. את מי אתה היית שולח?
אותי.
מה אתה מקשקש?
למה?
למה? כן. כי אני קודם כל שומר תורה ומצוות.
מה הקשר למצוות עכשיו?
אתם רוצים להקים ציוויליזציה, לא?
סליחה?
איזה ציוויליזציה? של איזה עם? של העם היהודי? איפה אתם חיים? במדינת היהודים, לא?
טוב, די, אין לי כוח לזה. אתם יכולים לפסול אותו?
במקרה היא מנוהלת כרגע על ידי חילוניים.
טוב, סליחה. אפשר לפסול אותו? לא, הוא ליצן. אתם דברו, הוא רוצה להגיד, נו.
אתם, כל אחד ואחד מכם, יצטרך ליישר קו. למה לא ירחק היום שהמדינה הזאת תנוהל על ידי חוקי ההלכה. הבנתם?
נו מה, תפסלו אותו.
אפשר לפסול אותו פה אחד?
מצטער.
אתם פוסלים אותי? אני פוסל אתכם.
How do you, as a filmmaker, try and bring a story that you say allows your audience to make their own conclusions? Don't you come in with some of your own preconceived notions, politics? I mean, there's no question. You're sitting there, you're watching this film, you're watching rabbis with their own opinions about Din Rodef, about the whole notion of the law of the pursuer and how that impacts.
Yeah.
So how do you sort of pull that aside and don't let it overstep?
It's restraint that you have to, how you say that, to practice. That's what it is. Of course, my opinion is obvious, and I mean, my opinion at the end of the movie, you know what my opinion is.
So you have to watch the film to really understand what that opinion is.
My opinion is, you know, I can say that as a spoiler. Of course, I'm against assassination 100%. I think that it's an horrific event, as I mentioned, and Yigal Amir should be in jail for the rest of his life, and that's what the law says in Israel, and that's what should happen, because now there are efforts to change that. But having said that, I wanted to show as truthful to the events as possible, again, because I thought if I'm not going to do that, then we're going to lose, you know, everything that could be gained from watching this movie, which is to see the reality of what happened and have, you know, just learn from that.
How was it for you to sit across the table from this man?
So I did not meet him personally. My head of, my lead researcher, spoke to him over the phone for hundreds of hours with questions that I fed him. And
the
also,
government allowed that interaction?
They allowed it. I mean, they're listening to all the conversations, so there's no mystery there. But in practice, you know, his wife is talking to him, and she's allowed to, and she gave our researcher the opportunity to ask him questions and get answers, and that led to hundreds of hours of conversations, which, again, initially there was a moral dilemma. Do we do it? Do we not? What does it mean? And as I said again, my job, I'm trying to seek truth, right? That's my job, and because it's my job, I have to go and jump into it. It's not that I'm, you know, paying him money or doing something to, you know, on that level. What I do is I get this invaluable information for the project, both as research and also in order to be able to direct the actor correctly, to be able to understand his logic, to understand what, you know, his personality, so I can portray him.
You know, Yehuda Nahari Halevi, who plays the part of Amir, I mean, how did you direct him? How did you? Oh.
Well, yeah, it's tough. When we started the process after the audition, you know, I had a very long audition process.
How many actors did you audition?
Tens. Like, everybody was in the right age, in the right look, was auditioned. So I tried to really, you know, discover the right Yigal Amir, and that's what happened. We discovered that he's the right Yigal Amir. But initially, when we did the audition, we did not use Yigal Amir in the audition. It was just like some person who did, you know, believed that in sort of tough against peace, things of that nature. But we did not. It was different. I think Shaul, we called him Shaul. It was just like a different thing, so that the actor will not know and the actor will not imitate Yigal Amir. That was the beginning. Once we discovered, I told him what it was about, and we made a contract, like a verbal contract. The contract was that I am with him on this journey, so that I will not criticize the assassination from that point. I will not criticize Yigal Amir. He will not hear from me anything but me and him going into this bubble of him becoming the Yigal Amir, the assassin. That was the deal, which I said it's going to be, we're going to end that contract in the rap party when we finish filming. That was the only way for me to help him become Yigal Amir. Any other way would be for him impossible. So we went on that journey so that I helped him get into that world completely for almost a year of work. So for me, the big deal is the preparation, because once, you know, he reads all this information, Yigal Amir's words in trial, in the investigation by police, by the Shabak, security service, in courts, in the national inquiry. Once he read all that, like tens and tens of pages, and we spoke about it and analyzed it and started to talk that language, it was just the road of him becoming that person. The moment he assumed that he became religious, I asked him to, you know, become Orthodox, which he did. Went 3 times a day to the synagogue, followed all the mitzvot, you know, like became super religious. Wore, you know, of course, the tzitzit and the kippah and everything, and also black and white, just the clothes, you know, that they customary wear. So he became religious, and we built this whole thing. His girlfriend left him during that process.
You're kidding.
Which was very, very sad, because we spoke to her. This is a role. It's getting into a role. But he was so devoted to it that there was that moment where it was too hard for her.
Oh.
You know, the process that we went through, because, you know, religious people, if you're not married, you're not allowed to touch. Even, you know, just to shake hands.
Right.
He did not even shake hands with her.
So he
That's how far he went.
into the role.
Exactly. And that's, for me, like 90% of the thing, right? If you have the right actor with the right preparation, if it's a year preparation, you know, which that's what it took, then when you go out there, you're already that person. And now you just have to, you know, surf with that and make sure that each scene is you started in the right place, you're in the right mood, etc.
And he does an amazing job. But
Amazing.
And you were very careful. It's not an indictment of traditional Orthodox Jews.
Not at all.
But it is an indictment of a fringe element.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that there's even a political indictment because you include footage of Bibi Netanyahu and the opposition being involved in the rally. So, but that was what happened.
That's what happened. That's the incitement that I saw. That's the research led me to see that incitement, and I would like to, to point that out as a major factor in the assassination.
What was the reaction like in Israel when the film came out?
In general, very positive. We approached 200,000 people in theaters, which is for Israel,
amazing,
which is a small population. It's major. We were one of the most successful movies of that year, box office-wise, and this is, a political thriller or a psychological thriller. So people are not accustomed to such numbers. It was really big. High schools went to see it. Teachers took their students to see it. Army ordered units that I went to screen it and talk. We were all over the place. We won the first prize, as you know. They invited me to speak in the Rabin rally, the last one. They showed 3 clips. It's like 50,000 people in the square watching, 3 clips from the movie, pivotal clips from the movie. I think
anyone in the government?
Very well reception. However, we had Miri Regev, the Minister of Culture, that was to the level of saying that one should boycott the movie. She went, of course, against the movie. Usually when you win the Academy Awards in Israel, you get a phone call from her congratulating you. Here it was, of course, the opposite. It's just like, don't go and watch the movie, although she didn't see it. She claimed, I did not see it, but I oppose it.
It seems like there's this long-term issue between filmmakers and Ms. Regev. We'll see where that goes in the future. We could sit here and chat on and on and on.
Of course.
An amazing film, one that everyone should see. The film is called Incitement. The co-writer and director of the film, Yaron Zilberman.
Thank you so
Mazal
much.
Tov, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support JBS with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more. And we're especially pleased to remind you that thanks to a generous matching gift from the Cayley family, every new or increased dollar you donate to JBS will be worth double to JBS. Simply visit the JBS website at jbstv.org and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please, indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check to JBS, P.O. Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.